This is Akashvani and I am Abhishek Mukhopadhyay with the Midday News. The headlines. Prime Minister Narendra Modi says India preparing its youth to take advantage of new opportunities through skilling and education, asserts scope of skill development continuously increasing in the country. Prime Minister to inaugurate and lay foundation stones of development projects worth 4,200 crore rupees at Pithoragarh in Uttarakhand this afternoon. India and France hold 5th Annual Defence Dialogue in Paris. Raksha Mantri Rajnath Singh and his French counterpart discuss ways to deepen defence industrial cooperation. Parliamentary Forum on Mission Life begins in Delhi ahead of the 9th Parliamentary Speakers Summit of G20 nations from tomorrow. Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and opposition leader Benny Gantz form emergency unity government and a war cabinet to oversee fight against Palestinian terrorist group Hamas. And in badminton, top Indian players Kidambi Srikanth and PV Sindhu to play in the singles pre-quarterfinals of Arctic Open in Finland today. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has said that India is preparing its youth to take advantage of new opportunities through skilling and education. Addressing the Kaushal Dikshant Samaroh virtually, Mr. Modi said when the youth power is stronger, the country develops more. He said the scope of skill development is continuously increasing in India.
स्किल डेवलपमेंट का ये उत्सव अपने आप में अनूठा है। पूरे देश में स्किल डेवलपमेंट से जुड़े संस्थानों का ऐसा साझा कौशल दीक्षांत समारोह एक बहुत ही सराहनीय पहल है। ये आज के भारत की प्राथमिकताओं को भी दर्शाता है। इस आयोजन में देश के हजारों युवा टेक्नोलॉजी के माध्यम से जुड़े हुए हैं। मैं सभी युवाओं को बेहतर भविष्य के लिए बहुत बहुत शुभकामनाएं देता हूं।
The Prime Minister said the new national education policy has been brought after almost 4 decades. He emphasized that the government is establishing a large number of new medical colleges and skill development institutes like IITs, IIMs or ITIs. Mr. Modi mentioned that crores of youth have been trained under the Pradhan Mantri Kaushal Vikas Yojana.
करोड़ों युवाओं को प्रधानमंत्री कौशल विकास योजना के तहत ट्रेनिंग दी गई है। वहीं दूसरी तरफ हम नौकरी देने वाले ट्रेडिशनल सेक्टर्स को भी मजबूत कर रहे हैं। हम एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप को बढ़ावा देने वाले नए सेक्टर को भी बढ़ावा दे रहे हैं। आज भारत गुड्स एक्सपोर्ट्स, मोबाइल एक्सपोर्ट्स, इलेक्ट्रॉनिक एक्सपोर्ट्स, सर्विसेज एक्सपोर्ट्स, डिफेंस एक्सपोर्ट्स और मैन्युफैक्चरिंग में नए रिकॉर्ड बना रहा है।
Speaking on the occasion, Education Minister Dharmendra Pradhan said nearly 10,60,000 youth have been given certificates under this convocation. The Kaushal Dikshant Samaroh was organized in New Delhi. The event witnessed participation of students from prestigious skill development institutes. These include Pradhan Mantri Kaushal Kendra, Industrial Training Institutes, Skill India International Center and Jan Shikshan Sansthan. Prime Minister Modi will inaugurate and lay foundation stones of various development projects worth 4,200 crore rupees at Pithoragarh district in Uttarakhand this afternoon. He will also address a public meeting. Mr. Modi is on a day-long visit to the state. Earlier in the day, the Prime Minister offered prayers at Parvati Kund at Jolingkong in Pithoragarh. From there, Mr. Modi reached Gunji village where he interacted with the locals and visited a craft exhibition of local products. The Prime Minister also interacted with Army, ITBP and BRO personnel at Gunji. He also offered prayers at the famous Jageshwar temple in Almora this morning. President Draupadi Murmu today inaugurated the Sky Walk and the remodeled Parvati Bhavan built at the Vaishno Devi Bhavan in Trikuta Hills in Riyasi district of Jammu and Kashmir. On the occasion, President Murmu also paid obeisance at Mata Vaishno Devi Cave Shrine. She was accompanied by Lieutenant Governor Manoj Sinha. A parliamentary forum on Mission Life Lifestyle for Environment began in New Delhi today ahead of the 9th Parliamentary Speakers Summit, P20 Summit of G20 nations beginning tomorrow. Speakers of parliaments of G20 members and invitee countries are attending the event. They are deliberating upon initiatives towards a greener and sustainable future in harmony with nature. Inaugurating the pre-summit event, Lok Sabha Speaker Om Birla said, "Today, no country in the world is untouched by the ill effects of climate change." He said Mission Life is a comprehensive approach towards environmental protection.
भारत जैसे विकासशील देश ने एक वैश्विक नया दृष्टिकोण दिया जलवायु परिवर्तन को लेकर। भारत के प्रधानमंत्री जी ने जलवायु परिवर्तन के लिए ग्रीन और क्लीन एनर्जी के साथ साथ जो हमारी प्रकृति के अंदर हमारी हमेशा संस्कृति का आधार रहा है और इसी कारण पर्यावरण के साथ जिंदगी जीना, लाइफ स्टाइल कैसी होनी चाहिए, उसका नया दृष्टिकोण दिया है।
Prime Minister Narendra Modi will inaugurate the two-day P20 summit tomorrow at Yashobhumi in New Delhi. In line with the theme of India's G20 presidency, the theme of the 9th P20 summit is Parliaments for One Earth, One Family, One Future. We have a report.
During the two-day summit, 4 high-level sessions will be organized. These are on the topics namely accelerating sustainable development goals, sustainable energy transition, women-led development and transformation in people's lives through public digital platforms. These sessions will bring together G20 members and guest countries for wide-ranging discussions on how parliaments can effectively advance the objective of the P20. India aims to provide consensus-based solution to complex global issues toward a more inclusive, peaceful and equitable world during the P20 summit with the spirit of the theme Vasudhaiv Kutumbakam. With Diwakar, Bhupendra Singh, Akashvani News, New Delhi.
The 8th BRICS International Competition Conference began in New Delhi today. The two-day conference organized by the Competition Commission of India is based on the theme of new issues in competition law and policy dimensions, perspectives and challenges. Over 450 delegates from across the globe have joined the conference. In his keynote address, Chairperson of the National Company Law Appellate Tribunal, Justice Ashok Bhushan, said that this conference is very important to foster cooperation among the BRICS competition authorities, facilitating exchange of ideas and approaches between leaders and experts in the field of competition law and policy. The Railway Ministry has announced an ex gratia of 10 lakh rupees to the families of individuals who lost their lives following the derailment of 23 bogies of the Northeast Express train near Raghunathpur railway station at Buxar district in Bihar last evening. The injured would be given 50,000 rupees. The train, which started from Anand Bihar terminus in Delhi, was on its way to Kamakhya at Guwahati in Assam. 4 persons were killed and over 100 others injured in the mishap. The injured are undergoing treatment at AIIMS, Patna and different hospitals in the capital city. Bihar Chief Minister Nitish Kumar announced that ex gratia of 4 lakh rupees will be provided to the families of individuals who lost their lives in the train accident. Mr. Kumar said the state government will bear the cost of treatment of all injured. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has expressed grief over the loss of lives due to the derailment of Northeast Express train. In a social media post, Mr. Modi said the authorities are providing all possible assistance to all those affected. The Commissioner of Railway Safety of Eastern Zone will conduct the probe related to the rail accident. Talking to Akashvani News, Eastern Central Railway's Chief Public Relations Officer Birendra Kumar said work is underway on war footing to restore full normalcy in train movement. He said 23 bogies were derailed during the incident.
भी ये वहाँ काम जोरों शोरों से चल रहा है। कई डिवीजनों से हम लोगों ने ART ट्रेन मंगवाई है जो कि रात से ही लगी हुई है और कई कोचेस को हटा लिया गया है। इस रूट से जाने वाली सारी गाड़ियां डाइवर्टेड रूट से जा रही है, बहाया गया होकर या आरा सासाराम रूट होते होकर डाइवर्ट हो रही है। जब ये रिस्टोर हो जाएगा ये रूट तो फिर हम लोग इसी रूट से चलाएंगे।
In Sikkim, rescue, relief and evacuation operations are underway in areas affected by the recent flash floods. Evacuation through helicopters resumed this morning after being suspended yesterday due to unfavorable weather. Tourists from La Chung and La Chen were transported to Siliguri in West Bengal in buses through Pakyong Airport today. The death toll from the flash flood stands at 37, while 78 people are still missing. This is Akashvani giving you the news. For quick news updates around the clock, follow us on our Twitter handle at AIR News Alerts. Raksha Mantri Rajnath Singh conducted the 5th annual Defence Dialogue with French Minister of Armed Forces Sébastien Lecornu in Paris yesterday. The two ministers discussed a wide range of topics from the assessment of regional situation to the ongoing military-to-military engagements, with a focus on enhancing defense industrial cooperation. The Defense Ministry said the ministers reviewed the ongoing defense projects and discussed ways to deepen the collaboration between the defense industries of both the countries. Chief of Naval Staff Admiral R. Hari Kumar has said that the first line of defense against any subconscious threat is timely and accurate intelligence. He was addressing the NSG Raising Day Counter-Terrorism Seminar with State Special Forces in New Delhi today. Admiral Hari Kumar emphasized on 4 I's: intelligence, innovation, integration and interagency coordination. He said in recent years the country has become more adept at gathering and using intelligence. Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and opposition leader Benny Gantz jointly announced the formation of an emergency unity government and a war cabinet to oversee the fight against Palestinian terrorist group Hamas. It will consist of Prime Minister Netanyahu, opposition leader Gantz, current Defense Minister Yoav Gallant and 2 other top officials serving as observer members. The government would not pass any legislation or decisions that are not connected to the war as long as the fighting continues. Meanwhile, the fighting has further intensified with Israeli jets pounding the Gaza Strip for days in a retribution for the weekend attack by Hamas terrorists. US Secretary of State Antony Blinken has reached Israel to show Washington's support for Israel. He will reportedly meet Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu, President Isaac Herzog and senior officials. At least 22 Americans have lost their lives so far in the conflict and the number could still go up. Our correspondent has the details.
In a rapidly unfolding situation at Israel, Secretary of State for United States Antony J. Blinken touched down in Tel Aviv today. Secretary Blinken shared that the United States was engaged in discussions with both Israel and Egypt, the latter of which shares a border with Gaza. The focus of these talks was to establish safe passage options for civilians trapped within the besieged strip. Meanwhile, the Israeli military disclosed that the troop deployment along the Gaza border, signaling preparations for what they refer to as the next stage of the war. The situation is giving rise to concerns of a border conflict with skirmishes and artillery fire continuing in Israel's northern border. For Akashvani News, this is Vinod Kumar from Dubai.
India has launched Operation Ajay to facilitate the return of its citizens from Israel-Hamas conflict zone. In a social media post, External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar said special charter flights and other arrangements have been put in place. World Arthritis Day has been observed today. Talking to Akashvani News, Dr. Rima Dada, Department of Anatomy at the All India Institute of Medical Sciences in Delhi, asked people to exercise regularly and practice yoga and keep their weight under control for prevention of arthritis.
हमारी स्टडीज ने दिखाया है कि योग इसमें एक पावरफुल एडजंक्ट की तरह काम करता है एंड इट कैन बी यूज्ड अलोंग विद द स्टैंडर्ड थेरेपी जो रूमेटॉइड आर्थराइटिस के लिए दी जाती है. जब मैं योग कहती हूँ इसमें हम आसना, प्राणायाम और ध्यान तीनों ही इन्वॉल्व करते हैं. पहले हम इनका सूक्ष्म व्यायाम से शुरू कराते हैं और ये ऑटो इम्यून डिसऑर्डर है जिसमें बॉडी का जो इम्यून रिस्पॉन्स है वो बॉडी के अपने जॉइंट्स को, साइनोवियल मेम्ब्रेन को अफेक्ट करता है. और योग करने से कई जीन्स के एक्सप्रेशन बढ़ते हैं जो एंटी इन्फ्लेमेटरी हैं या जो जीन्स एंटीऑक्सीडेंट्स के लिए कोड कर रही हैं.
In badminton, top Indian shuttlers Kidambi Srikanth and PV Sindhu will play in the pre-quarterfinals of the singles event at the Arctic Open in Vantaa in Finland today. World Championship silver medalist Srikanth will face Japan's Kanta Tsuneyama in round 16 of the men's singles. Star shuttler PV Sindhu will face Chinese Taipei's Wen Chi Su in the women's singles. In ICC Men's Cricket World Cup, the league stage match between Australia and South Africa is underway in Lucknow. Put into bat, South Africa was 6 for no loss in 2 overs when reports last came in. And now, before we end the bulletin, the headlines once again. Prime Minister Narendra Modi says India preparing its youth to take advantage of new opportunities through skilling and education. Asserts scope of skill development continuously increasing in the country. Prime Minister to inaugurate and lay foundation stones of development projects worth 4,200 crore rupees at Pithoragarh in Uttarakhand this afternoon. Raksha Mantri Rajnath Singh and his French counterpart discuss ways to deepen defense industrial cooperation. Parliamentary Forum on Mission Live begins in Delhi ahead of the 9 Parliamentary Speakers Summit of G20 nations from tomorrow. And in badminton, top Indian players Kidambi Srikanth and PV Sindhu to play in the singles pre-quarterfinals of the Arctic Open in Finland today. And with that, we end the Midday News.